Congrats on Good Fortune. I really enjoyed the film, and I saw it a second time today, and I laughed just as many times as the first showing. And that's
Oh,
the real trademark of a good comedy, I feel. Because
thanks.
there's some comedy movies I've seen 50 times. I'm still laughing just as hard as the
Oh,
first time. As a comedy writer and director, how do you kind of approach that idea of rewatchability? Because like, is it just that a well-crafted joke is always going to land, or like, do you put any thought into that?
I don't know how you can write towards rewatchability. I think if you just do something that works and is funny, then hopefully it has repeat value and the jokes are strong enough.
And I was curious about what made you want to tackle classism and the wealth disparity in Good Fortune, because we see your character Arj, and it's wild to think about, but there's so many people that are just significantly like worse off than him. Like he's doing like
Oh yeah.
he's struggling, but he's still doing like pretty all right. So there's like this whole other level. So what made you want to explore this, and especially at this level where he's struggling, but there is so much worse. He's doing all right.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, these issues of wealth disparity and everything are all around us. And when I did research for the film and I interviewed all these people, it was shocking, like how many people talked about things like sleeping in their car and how hard it was to get by and the struggles they had, and it went to a level you didn't always expect. And to me, if this is what's going on, then it was a challenge to write a movie that dealt with these things and to do it in a funny way.
And Keanu Reeves is just fantastic in this film. What kind of
Oh,
stood
thanks.
out about him as a collaborator? Because I think people forget just how much of a comedic mind he has, since he's always kicking so much ass. But you,
Yeah.
you really use him to his full potential here.
Oh, thanks. He was fantastic, and we spent a lot of time working on his character together and developing the character, working on his scenes. He was very generous with his time, rehearsing and really trying to dial it in. And for me, I when I first read the script, imagining him doing it, it made me laugh. And then as I got to know him, I just put more and more of him into the character, he's just such an iconic voice. It's very easy to write to, and I kind of just really just started tuning into like what his strengths were comedically and how to write this stuff to really play to his strengths. And that was when I feel like it really went to another level. And he's just, I mean, the guy's an icon, and he's been a screen presence for decades for a reason. He knows what he's doing, and yeah, I think his performance is spectacular.
Yeah, and you wrote such a fun optimism for Gabriel,
Yeah,
and it contrasts with Seth so well. Like the whole like buddy comedy segment
yeah,
of the film with those two
yeah,
living together, eating chicken nuggies for the first time. Like
yeah,
I could watch them interact for like 2 hours themselves, but obviously we have to have a plot and have that
yeah.
moving. So how is it like balancing their chemistry and using it to their full potential? Because I thought that was just so great how they played off each other.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you cast these people for their roles, and then you hope they're all going to play well together. And for him and Seth, and for Keanu and Seth, I remember when we shot the scene, their first big scene together was a scene where they're when Keanu's eating for the first time, and I just immediately could tell, oh man, they have great chemistry, and their energies play off well against each other. And Seth is just so funny up against his energy. Keanu being kind of quiet and just kind of a little more like this, and then Seth being like this, like it just worked really well together.
This wasn't originally set to be your directorial debut. We had the whole situation with being mortal. What were the biggest lessons that you learned from, shooting half a movie before this that, then gave you the confidence to really go all out with Good Fortune?
Be Mortal was a lot different in terms of its tone and subject matter and everything. For me, like Good Fortune was, I trained for it doing Mastodon. It was probably closer to Mastodon than Being Mortal in a way. And the fun thing for I worked with Alan Yang, who was a producer on this film, and worked on with Mastodon. And the exciting thing for us was like, oh, okay, we've never done anything with like this angel character, like and had this kind of otherworldly element. So that was fun and a good challenge.
And two cast members from Being Mortal also came into good fortune with Seth and
Yeah.
Kiki Palmer. Well, what did it mean for you that, they had that experience and they wanted to follow you to this project too and really believed in you?
Well, that's your hope is that, you work with these actors, they have a great experience, and they want to work with you again. And those guys are incredible. And so I was really happy that they came on board this one.
And this film has a very life affirming message to it. Like I felt great walking out of the theater the first time, and it's good just to laugh in a theater with a crowd. What stood out to you about just the audience response to Good Fortune now that it's been out?
It's been awesome. I mean, you work on these things, and they're kind of, they're in this void where no one gets to see it, and then it finally comes out after years. And the reception's been so awesome. We got such great reviews, and more cool to me is just people coming up to me on the street and telling me they saw it and what it meant to them, and yeah, it's been an amazing experience.
You have a lot of fun with this idea of the angel hierarchy
Yeah.
and each angel having different roles. I thought Sandra Oh was just perfect casting as the head angel. You don't
Yeah.
don't get better than her. What interested you most about this idea of angels and them all having, these different niches that they fill and help people out throughout the days?
Well, I'd had this idea of the angel interacting with the guy and trying to change his life and it backfiring. But then I was like, well, what if the guy's not even supposed to talk to people? Like, what if he's supposed to not be that kind of angel? What if he has another job? And for some reason, the idea of an angel in charge of stopping people from texting and driving just made me laugh. And it was always that. And, yeah, it was a fun thing to kind of realize, oh, like giving Gabriel this journey of being this angel that wants to do more, and then it goes wrong, and then he gets punished and becomes human. Like that felt like a fun arc for Keanu's character.
And some of your best on-screen moments are playing off Seth Rogen, and you both have a lot of improv experience. When you're working with someone that is that experienced and knows how to make it playful, how's it just how much easier does that make getting the most out of your setups and knowing that you can really play with Seth?
I mean, he's just such a pro, and you know that he's gonna help you get the scene to where it needs to be, and if something's not feeling right, he'll know, and we'll work on it together, and either come up with the joke together or improvise, and it's just fun, for me, like directing, it's like you're just going scene by scene. Let's just get this scene, let's get the next scene, and then you're done with the day, and yeah, he's a great partner.
What's kind of next for you as a director and creator? Do you kind of want to keep focusing on films? Do you want to have like a TV idea? Is it just keeping an open mind and seeing what opportunities arise? What's kind of next for you?
I'm on a stand up tour now, and I want to film the special next year, and then I have other film ideas that I've been working on, and I'd love to make another film next year after. I don't know. It's so hard to get films made, and especially original films for theatrical release. But I feel lucky that we were able to pull it off in this, and I hope to pull it off again.
Fingers crossed. I thought this was a really strong debut, so I
Oh
definitely want
man,
to see more of
thanks.
your work. And you mentioned Alan Yang.
Yeah,
You've had such a great creative partnership with him, Master of None, and he worked on Parks and Rec as well.
yeah.
What kind of stands out about him as a creative partner? Because you two just clearly work off each other really well.
It's one of those things where something you're just on the same wavelength, and when you find those people you keep them close because it doesn't happen all the time, and it's not like sometimes I've seen people, and I've even tried to do it, where you have you know someone else's Alan and you try to make them your Alan and it doesn't work. It's like, yeah, no, there's something about you guys that works, and he's a great friend, and I've been happy to continue working with him.